You give me the look.
It's us. We're live. We're here.
Are we here?
We're here. Yeah, you can't see it yet, but
I
we're here.
can't see it yet.
No.
Oh, there I am.
Yeah.
There I am.
Is that better? Do you feel better?
Yeah. Now I feel better.
Okay. Good. All right. So for those of you, let's see. Do we have?
What a handsome camper.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You were talking about me, not you, right?
Of course.
Okay. Good. So we don't have a lot of people on yet, but that's normal. It ramps up.
Does it?
Yeah, it ramps up. People get all the notifications. Oh, it's 11 o'clock.
And then they rush in.
Yeah. Then
they like to stop the car on the freeway.
Yeah.
Pull over to the side.
Yeah.
Say it's Kazi time.
Yeah. Kids.
Shut up,
around.
kids.
Gather
kids,
around.
go out and stand in the freeway.
No.
Yes.
Gather round.
I want a quiet time in here.
Watch. Learn. Listen.
From the maestro.
The maestro. I like that. That's...
You are the maestro.
Man. I like the sound of that.
Why are you clearer than me?
Am I?
No, maybe not. Maybe it's the light. Oh, I have the light. I'm like I have the window sort of in the
Yeah,
camera.
the light is coming at me.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah. I think that part of it too is like the distance or something. Like your head is okay, I got it. I just was going to say your head is filling up the screen or something.
I got problems here. I'll get there. I promise, people. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. We got a couple of viewers. Let's see. So topic for today. Bob and I just did a Metacast episode. We will be publishing on Monday the third installment.
Part 3?
Part 3. Yes, part 3.
We've never had a trois-parter.
No, we haven't. I don't even know how to characterize those 3 episodes. Like, what wrapper would you put around them? Like, what unifying descriptor of what we were addressing? I've struggled with that. Like, we say it's a 3-part series, but I don't know. I just leave it at that. Like, yeah, it's a 3-part series.
I think it's like the leaving the nest and landing well.
I can get behind that. Okay.
Leaving the nest. The third one is
leaving the nest and landing well.
Maybe something like that.
Nice.
What do you think?
Do you write books?
No.
No.
No, but I was actually thinking of that because I have a blog post that's waiting for the third link in it. I was trying to because I like that series.
Yeah.
I really think that's a powerful series, and I want to sort of market it as much as we can.
Yeah.
To folks, and I've gotten a lot of private feedback from people.
Me too.
That it's been useful for them.
There have been a couple of people that have reached out and said, you kind of like, it felt like you were talking right to me.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've gotten that. So that's the kind of value that we want in the Metacast. So, but it's sort of, I don't have a shorter name for it than that. But I do think that third part complements the first 2.
It's the landing well piece, right?
Yeah.
So we really address that.
Yeah.
So for those of you that may be watching this on YouTube later or have tuned in and haven't jumped into the chat yet, the third episode of Leaving the Nest and Landing Well is really focused on landing well, where we try and provide you with tools and tips and tricks on how to investigate all of your options and ensure that you find the best place for you going forward. Today's episode was centered around... what was today's episode centered around? We just talked about it, and I already forgot. Leadership, facilitation... Decision-making, listening. Bob and I have been in a lot of different places, and we see common patterns where there are decision-makers, and they make the decisions.
Well, not letting hand-waving drive everything or the loudest voice. We've seen a lot of, you were saying that you've seen the loudest, the person who's hot on a technology make the decision, or their experience at the last company was in a specific way, a design or a technology, and make the decision rather than the data, rather than being thoughtful. So, technology decision-making. And then we generalized it, too. It was more collaborative decision-making, at a leadership level, at a team level.
So I'm I'm mad at myself because one of the things that I push very heavily in those instances is diversity of
Oh,
opinion.
we didn't.
Right?
re-
Yeah,
We
we
didn't.
didn't hit that.
We didn't
Right?
hit
But that's
diversity. Actually, forget diversity. So, diversity. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. Diversity in general,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, to me, when I talk about diversity, it's a very broad spectrum
Yeah.
of background, experience, technology,
Well,
all those
well,
things.
gender,
Right? Yeah, right. Just
generational.
everything. Not
Yeah, yeah.
not just the
Oh,
diversity you look at.
we screwed the pooch on that.
Well, that can be our next episode.
That should be.
Yeah.
Or an addendum. We need an addendum. We really that's incredibly important. How did we miss
I
that?
don't know, Bob.
No, I'm serious. I'm not busting your chops.
That's why I said I was mad at myself. I don't know.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
like a big rock in that space.
Yeah.
We're running out of time a little bit, but yeah, let's make that a part 2. What do you think?
Part what?
Duh. 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 Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Oh, because that's been on my mind. Diversity, and maybe we addendum, but we also talk about any. So it's the diversity episode. That's really on my. I mean, the politics. There's political diversity nowadays, right? With Congress people. My daughter is really challenging me. Rhiannon is a social worker, and she has such a much broader view of social workers in general.
Yeah.
Have a very broad view, and as a technologist, I don't think of it.
Right.
It's much bigger sometimes than we think it is, and it's much more important. Diversity is the next one.
Diversity.
Oh, hold it.
Well, it'll have to be episode 151.
Yeah, 151. That's a nice way to spring from episode 150, don't you think?
Yes. So
Yeah.
for those of you that don't know, episode 150 will be the next episode that we record, not the next episode that we release. We're going to release 2 more between then and now, but episode 150 is the next thing that we're doing. So
Yeah.
we're planning for that. It will be a decade. Can you believe it?
Not nearly, not yet. January.
I'm rounding. I'm rounding.
Don't round. Let's be crisp.
Oh,
Come on, we're approaching January. I think there's a specific date. I have it marked on my calendar, January 12th.
Yep.
I think that's the date, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know.
10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
I thought we would have gotten divorced way earlier than this, Josh. I don't know.
I was so young.
You were. That's actually part of episode 150 is I want us to reminisce a little bit about like Teradata and how it all began and stuff like.
Gosh.
Do you ever think like that Teradata seems like a millennia ago to me? Like
I was thinking about this last night. I referenced Dude Solutions a lot because it was this laboratory for me where I experimented a lot and had a lot of good
so
progress.
that eye contact is the Dude Solution.
Yeah, and it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But it feels like eons, and then you go back to Teradata.
Yeah.
It feels even further away.
I know.
I think I'm just an old man.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, in professional sort of time, it accelerates, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, and like the old man thing, just it's weird because we go back to when you and I started a decade ago. I was the young punk that didn't know what I was doing and had all these crazy brash ideas, and you were just like, no.
But you know what I was thinking
And
about?
now the tables have turned, and now I'm that guy.
And I didn't want to say it, you're actually, like I was incredulous. You've actually, and this is part of episode 152, is I want to explore each of our growth.
Mm-hmm.
And you've grown phenomenally. So I don't want to do it too soon. I want to wait
Right, yeah,
for
yeah, okay.
Wait, but I mean, if I look at you back then versus now,
Oh my gosh, it's embarrassing.
no, it's not. No. You've had a phenomenal
Well,
amount
but
of growth.
but that's
It is
life, right?
Yeah.
Like
no,
think about the code you wrote 20 years ago. How
no,
embarrassing that was.
but
right?
don't short shrift it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not the code part.
I know. I'm just using that as an analogy.
You're
right? That's-
embarrassed. It's
yeah.
okay.
No, it's like anything. Like if you're doing the same thing, if you're executing the same thing.
There's Scrum Sarge.
A decade later, you look back at what you did a decade ago, and you're like, "Oh boy, I wish I would have known more."
Hey, Scrum Sarge.
Scrum Sarge,
Good to see you.
it's been a while since we've been here.
I haven't seen you in so long, Scrum Sarge. Welcome back.
Yeah, the followers just keep pouring in, and it's weird. I'd say we've got what 119 followers, and I'd say 100 of those come while we're not broadcasting.
Really?
Yeah, I just get these random notifications that so and so is subscribed or follows your episode now.
Hi, Fire Sue.
Is Texas in the house? Is that
Texas? Is Texas in the house? I know.
I feel like we should host this in Texas.
It would be
somehow,
cool.
some way. We've talked about that, and
it's hard.
I feel like we're promising more than we can right now.
Yeah. It's you can't. We're over committing, but we were reminiscing about. Like just how long we've been together. So let's stop that.
Yeah.
Do we have a topic you want to stream about? Hey, anyone, is there something? Give us something hard because you have the dynamic duo streaming, and I can talk. Thank God I can talk. I'm not just typing into a bot.
Yes, the number of times Bob has given me a hard time about, I really don't like that live stream you do because I can't talk.
No, I like it, but I can't talk.
I know.
Do you know how
it frustrates you?
Do you know how freaking hard that is? I mean, I'm
well aware how hard it is for you to not talk.
How about you? You come on.
This is my opportunity.
Yeah, to just like clamp me down. Yes, I know.
Bob, type it out.
Yeah.
Take your time, type it out. You can't jump in.
From the Finger Lakes.
Wow.
Sue, did you just give us the finger from the Finger Lakes or something? So, do you have a topic you want to kick something off? Is there something in the stream we've talked about?
The stream actually was a key contributor to our trio of episodes that we just talked about. Before everybody else got on, Bob and I were talking about how to label the latest 2 and soon to be 3 episodes from the podcast, and it's about leaving the nest and landing well. And so many of the discussions that have come up as a part of our discussion here, it was Tuesdays and Thursdays, then Wednesdays, and now Fridays, has been around helping people in those frustrating situations where they're in a situation they just don't know what to do. So there's been a myriad of regulars that have gone through that, and then there have been people that have popped in and ask questions and say, what do I do? How should I handle this? Here's the situation.
Right.
And I jump in, and Scrum Sarge and Fire Sue and everybody else that's out there jumps in and tries to help people out. So that's been a recurring theme for us in the stream for probably, 3 months maybe. And then we hit it pretty hard with the podcast.
Yeah.
So
I think we've stuck a fork in, and I'm not, this isn't a negative comment, but with our final podcast, I feel good about sticking a fork. I may blog about it a little bit.
I feel confident that we've given people tools, weapons, whatever you want to call it, to go fight that fight.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean if you have a question about that, please jump in and ask. We just might reference some of those things and give you a few things to go off and listen to. The episode we just recorded, that got the thing that was at the front of my brain. Right, the front of my brain was about those senior people of some sort that struggle to listen objectively to a discussion, a debate about something, be it a technology decision, a product decision, a corporate culture decision, whatever it might be, right? All of those things where you're having that discussion with somebody and they're not really listening. So that episode was about that. But I didn't have anything queued up because I was so focused on getting some content for the podcast.
The other thing is, triggering off the podcast, it's data driven, and you see this in the lean side of things more, like lean software engineering, Toyota software engineering, where there's more emphasis on what is that circle where you analyze, you inspect, you gather data, you reflect, you experiment, you get results. It's sort of a check, act, do, act, check loop where I think we've lost that, and it comes from engineering. It comes from it's the scientific method, and you see the scientific method more in Kanban and more in lean software development, and you don't see it in like so what I would call mainstream Scrum or mainstream Agile as much. And that's sort of what we were talking about, right?
Yes.
In the
So
podcast.
there's a person that I work with that I really enjoy working with. He and I are in sync a lot, and we're working together to try and organize the product approach. And it's amazing how the pressures of a business create bad behaviors. So as you were talking through that, I started trying to think through what are the things that have led us to stray from that, to where we know it's the right thing. We've been taught, we read books, we read blogs, we listen to podcasts, go to live streams, we do all
Right.
this stuff. We go to conferences and people talk and talk and talk, and we listen and we hear and we write things down and we say we're going to change things. But what are the blockers to us doing that? Like, what's stopping everybody from doing that? Why is it harder than it should be?
Yeah, I think so one reaction I have that I think somehow Agile has softened engineering. It's softened, like when I went to when my first job out of school was at Sperry Univac
Mm-hmm.
doing mainframe assembler programming, and we really and there were hardware and electrical engineers and things like that, and it was hard engineering. Like you were talking to machines,
Mm-hmm.
and you had to run experiments and you had to optimize all the time, right? So optimization, it wasn't like a compiler
Mm-hmm.
optimizer did it for you. You literally had to
Right.
optimize by hand in many cases. And so I think you know, we were very, we were engineers. We were lean. We were engineers. We were experimenters. You had to have hard data to like the decision making back then. There wasn't a lot of hand waving.
Right.
The way there may be hand waving, but it was hand waving based on data, right? It was hand waving based on a position. We talked in the episode about experimentation
Right.
and basing our decisions on experiments and actual data. And I think we somehow the agile methods almost became like it's a craft. It's artsy, it's crafty, and there's no place for
Yeah. Um,
it's no place for the scientific part of it. I'm not articulating it well.
so number one, Ryan Ripley's in the house.
Hey Ryan, oh my goodness gracious! Hi Ryan.
Has Agile worked against itself? Has it created an unintended monster in that change is free, right? And the engineering discipline is lost.
I think engineering and this is even predates like the XP practices.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not talking about like pairing and XP practices. I'm sort of talking about the engineering practices before that,
Mm-hmm.
or the mindset before that was an engineering mindset. Now, part of that was over planning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Part of that wasn't all good,
Right.
but then you stray so far away from that, and you see people talking about that, right? You see the get back to basics. You see a movement of get back to basics
Mm-hmm.
in XP practices, and you also see a movement in getting back to basics. I think in sort of lean engineering, like engineering practices. Um, but not everyone is talking about that. So I think we've lost some of that along the way. I don't know why. I think it's maybe just the soft, and it's part of it is the softness of software has been right. Software has always been like if you contrast software engineering to bridge engineering,
Mm-hmm.
you don't refactor bridges so
Right.
much, right? But the soft in software engineering has always been sort of a two-edged sword.
Right.
It's allowed leaders to put pressure. You can put pressure on a date for a bridge, but it's really hard to build it twice as fast because it's tangibly a bridge, whereas
Mm-hmm.
software is less tangible.
And there's more hardbound logistics of getting the stuff, processing the things, right? You have to mix the concrete. That takes X amount of time. You have to allow the concrete to set. That takes X amount of time, right?
Yeah.
You have to put in the
There's
rebar.
there's
You have to
physical.
wait for the rebar to come from there. You
Exactly.
have to, all those
Exactly.
things, those
Exactly.
logistics are more, is it that just that they're more tangible
I
and they're easier to point to
I think it's
versus
part
the,
of it. I mean, as a leader, I mean, it always frustrated me that folks dealt with software engineering different. When I say soft, I'm talking folks. I'm talking about like, my stakeholders, my the CEOs and things like that. The people who push me around. I don't think they would push around tangible bridge builders or house
right.
builders as much as they pushed me around.
Mm-hmm.
So the intangibility wasn't always our friend. I mean, it's a two-edged sword. The intangibility of software allows us to make late binding changes.
Right.
That's a strength,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not complaining about it. Scrum Sarge said he'd say I've been trying to figure out how do we give the movement back to the engineers. After all, they were the ones that created the manifesto, right? I think it's give it back. I'm going to amplify Scrum Sarge, the engineers. Not every software engineer was an engineer. So give it back to the people writing the code, but also what Josh and I are talking about maybe is amplify the engineering part of software engineer, right? Like the engineering, the lean, I'll be like the experimentation part,
Right.
right? I don't want hand waving anymore. Prototype, experiment, everything.
Well, back to the data-driven decision making that you're talking about. Whereas people wave this agile wand of, oh, we're agile. We can be wrong. We can all those things like, well, which it's a balance, right? Like you want to encourage that because it is soft, because you can make those late changing refactors that unlock performance like never before, but also there's real value in the engineering piece.
I don't think people want to hear this too. I come off like a dinosaur. So another aspect of it is, and maybe I take it personally, but people look at me like I'm a dinosaur. What are you talking about engineering, right? I don't care about hardware anymore. We're so abstracted from it, right? There's so much optimization that we don't really. I almost think there's this excuse that happens. So not a stakeholder-driven thing, but internally with today's engineers, they're not engineers. And if we push them towards being engineers, you're going to get some resistance because it's uncomfortable, right?
It's harder.
It's harder.
Right. It's so we go back to the episode that we just recorded. It's a lot harder to have that thoughtful debate about what the right answer is than for me to just go say, hey, Bob, you've been doing this for 30 years. You know what the right answer is, right? Good. Okay, cool. Yeah. We make the decision and go, and I don't have to think about it. I don't have to really get the gears in my mind working really hard to figure out and think through, get to the why, right? We talked about how everybody isn't as good at that because it's harder. It's easier to go to the web and research what architectural approach should I take when building a React Native application.
Right.
And there's lots of opinions, but there aren't as many opinions.
Yeah. I agree with Sarge that I'd like us to get, and I think there's some movement in the trends, but I think probably continue to push that. Not just give it to the engineers, but make them better engineers, make them more thoughtful, make them more data oriented, make them better communicators. So it's the soft skills too.
That's the thing that is I just keep seeing, like, because that's, again, you can go to anything and get the technical suggestions on how to build things going and people don't invest as much in themselves, either directly in themselves or organizations and leaders in investing in their people in those soft skills.
Well, isn't there a trend nowadays? And again, I don't mean to sound like old versus new, but I saw someone the other day who graduated from like a 6-week program or an 11-week program in programming like web-based applications, and they were now suddenly an engineer or a software engineer or something. So now you're turning. So the trend from we're away from the engineering from my point of view. I'm not saying you have to have a 4-year degree.
Yeah, it's
but it's there's not a lot of in 11 weeks or something or whatever that tenure is.
Right.
It's really hard to talk about like optimized architectures and hardware orientation and things. You know what I'm saying? It's
so I view that strictly as a economic reaction to supply and demand.
Yeah.
Right, the demand is high for engineers.
All I'm
So
getting
it's
is I
the
think it's widening the gap
yeah.
is what I'm getting.
So
That trend's
I
widening that gap.
I agree, but one of the things I was most proud of was the last engineering team that I built, and I will use the term engineers. 75% of the team did not have a computer science degree, and half of them didn't have a traditional degree at all. They were more self taught, right? The opportunity to learn um, is more broad than it was in the past, where the only real opportunity you had to learn computer science was to go to school
Yeah.
and learn that from those professors. Now there's
Yeah.
more opportunity out
Yeah.
there, so that enables it, but it also has that side effect of sometimes people swing and miss on folks that have been there. And what I found is that the thing I really appreciate about those self learners and self starters is they're eager and they want to learn, and if you put them in the right environment they grow so amazingly quick.
Yeah.
But you have to surround them, right?
So
You
it's
have to
not, but it's not.
understand that.
It's not the degree. So
Yeah.
don't. It's. I don't.
Yeah.
It's. I'm not making a degree point.
But I used to be a degree snob. I would only
Really?
hire computer science
See, and I
degrees.
never. I know.
When I first started hiring, if you didn't have a computer science degree, didn't even look at the resume.
Yeah,
And
see,
I look
early
back
on,
like,
but
man,
I
what a
got
jerk
away
I
from
was.
that because I work with some people.
Yeah.
But it's more so. I think Scrum Sarge said what he said: coders versus engineers, and maybe that's a way. That's one way of articulating what I'm saying. So is sort of
Yeah,
that,
that's the evolution of, you start as a coder. We all started as a coder.
yeah.
Right, we all, whether it was computer science
Yeah.
or we learned on Khan Academy or whatever, code.org, whatever it was, we all started as a coder, and then everybody's on their journey, their path to become an engineer, and that's that thing that there's a million ways to learn it now. So it's understanding where people are on that spectrum, and are they engineer yet, and if not, how do you help them get there?
Ryan said something. Does an engineer need to ask permission to create high quality, valuable products? I think many of them. I see more engineers than not that think they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They think, and they might not even ask, so then they don't. I think of Uncle Bob Martin. I saw him do a keynote, and I know he's probably said this, and it's the doctor analogy of, a hospital administrator is going to get more operations per day if you don't wash your hands in between operations, right? And they put that kind of quality compromise pressure on the doctors. And so, what's the scenario? Should the doctors acquiesce or should they say no? And are they empowered? Not even empowered. Empowered does it a disservice. Is it a fundamental part of their? It's a fundamental part of their professionalism that they need to do good work. And that I wish, and I don't see enough engineers who think this way, but I think they. Ooh.
Thank you, Brave Dave.
Thank you, Brave Dave.
Good to see you. 7 months. It is shocking.
Oh my goodness.
It is amazing.
But it's that professionalism check, and to me that's part of the engineer discussion. So coder to engineer, and part of it is professional engineer. I've never been a professional engineer. I think in Texas there are people that get certified professional. I know in Canada there's professional, like you can get a certification where you're a professional, or accreditation where you're a professional. And it's not the accreditation, but it's the notion that I am a professional engineer. I have a fiduciary responsibility to do high quality good work. You know what right? I have permission to do good work. Not permission. I have a responsibility to do good work. I have a responsibility to discuss pros and cons. I have a responsibility to be able to explain my work. Right. I have a responsibility. That's and if I don't have the skills, then I need to get the skills to be able to do that, because I have a responsibility to do that, right? That's what I'm getting paid for.
Brave Dave, 2 things. Number 1, thanks for the resubscribe. Number 2, thanks for going to the effort to get to Dunkin' Donuts, to hop out of work who's stopping you from watching the stream.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have a donut for me. Have a donut for Bob.
yeah, but I mean, then negative points for making me hungry and wanting a Dunkin' Donuts. So
Well, we can go get donuts after this, Bob.
yeah, we could. We could go. What's the one?
Duck Donuts?
Oh, yeah, Duck Donuts.
Oh,
Warm.
So Duck Donuts, for those of you that don't know, when I first moved here, it was only on the coast in the Outer Banks, and it was this mythical thing. And they've been expanding westward in North Carolina, but
Not a lot.
they make the donuts right there.
To order.
Yeah.
And my favorite is the maple frosting bacon.
Yes.
Have you ever had that sucker?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, it's a heart attack.
So it comes out of the fryer, right? So they make their cake donuts, which I really like cake donuts.
I like cake.
And they come out of there, and
Soft.
they take the donut out of the right as it comes out. They dip it in the maple frosting,
or whatever you've
or
ordered.
whatever it is.
Whatever you've
then
ordered.
They drop the bacon on it, and they say, "Here, Bob." And the hardest part is you will melt your mouth because it's so hot. It's like lava.
It's warm. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So you have to sit there and stare at it longingly, waiting for it to cool off.
I like going in there and getting a twofer. They have a little twofer box sometimes.
Oh, they do?
You get a twofer. Well, you probably go in there and get like dozens. So they have the dozens.
I've got 3 kids at
exactly.
home.
You have
so
the
I gotta
dozens.
buy extras
Yeah, exactly.
for them not to eat.
Yeah. But that thing's not good. I mean, I don't even know what. I can't even imagine how bad that is for you. But oh my goodness,
but
yeah,
good.
Duck Donuts.
Yes.
See what happened, Brave Dave. What have you done to me? I'm an old man. My arteries are gonna clog up.
So so I do want to spend a little bit more time on the asking permission. One of the things that I continually work with engineers to do, that it kind of relates to the episode that we just recorded, is provide the why. Provide the why it's important for us to do this. Make it so your product owner understands why this investment is so important. There are so many times where I've talked with product owners and they're just saying, well, we're doing this work because the engineer said we needed to. And I don't like to allow that to happen. Going back to developing commercially minded engineers, I push the engineers very hard to understand why we should be doing this. That gets back to understanding why the company exists, why all those things happen. That takes a long time. I haven't even read the comment yet. I'm trying not to because I'm being distracted. And that I worked really hard at that, and it took me 9 months to get there, to where on a regular basis, those architectural and engineering stories weren't just because the engineer said so, but they were able to wrap the business value that this work brought. And when you explain, well, if we do this, we'll prevent this from happening, or our bug inflow will be reduced by X amount, or we can ensure greater performance. It's all there. It's in your brain. But unfortunately, engineers have not been enabled or empowered or asked to think like that.
I know.
So that's the one flip that I want to do of, no, you don't need to ask for it, but you should be able to explain why. And oftentimes we get in the hand waving thing where, well, it's too complex for me to explain to you. I was like, that's not right.
One of the things I think Ryan has done, Ryan, I'm going to try to get this right, but I've heard you talk about when you go into PSM 1s and PSM 2s, I think more PSM 2 training, is reminding Scrum Masters of their responsibility, like what is doing their job. And doing their job is not just coaching downward to the team. Doing their job is, and it's in the Scrum Guide, etc., but sometimes we miss it. Sometimes people miss it, or it's because it's so hard, or because we don't have the skills, we avoid it. But it's, I would say, the professionalism and the definition of doing, what is the job of Scrum Master? And I'm bringing it back, what is the job of a software engineer, right? And it is your job. It's not, and if you have any gaps, you have to fill it. So permission does it a disservice. It's like a doctor needs to clean their instruments in their hands, period. You're not doing your job. It's not, and you can't do a crappy job of it because people's lives are on the line, right? And if you have that same, it's like a fiduciary responsibility to do my job.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is professionalism and craftsmanship in software engineering. We've gotten so far away from that, I think, in general, but that's the movement to get back to that.
But if you go back to the doctor analogy from Uncle Bob and talking about washing hands, I would expect that a doctor would be able to sit down with that accountant or whoever and say, okay, here's why we're washing our hands. If we don't wash our hands, this will happen, and that will lead to lawsuits, and that will lead to malpractice and all those things.
But if the person doesn't listen,
right, well, yeah, there's that. Right.
At the end of the day, when push comes to shove, we're at a crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm not. It's like, do we acquiesce or do we do the right thing? I know, but I really do. Do we acquiesce to the BS or do we do the right thing?
Right.
And we do. And doctors, I expect them, or damn it, I'll hunt them down. Right. But I expect them to do the right thing, and I don't. And it's hard, and it requires courage, and it's scary. But I want software engineers to do that. Martin talks about that a lot. I think Ryan talks about that a lot from a Scrum Master. It's going to the next level. But my point is, it's still in the job.
Right.
It's part of the job. We just have to figure out how to do that.
Well, let's transition to another role that often has additional external pressures from the organization: sales. A salesperson could close more deals by promising features that don't exist.
Don't lie. Don't you can't. Yep. Right. Yeah. So you can lie. There's a billion reasons of pressure points and things like that. Personal pressure points, business pressure points. Right. But what do you fundamentally? And I mean, you're fundamentally an employee of the company. You have a fiduciary responsibility to your company, not to lie, not to mislead, right? For whatever reason, it's never good. It's really hard. Ryan, I don't know if you're listening. We tried to do an agile we were going to do a three-way agile for humans thing.
Became a problem, yeah.
I'm wondering if I'm seeing him I'm getting aggravated with him because he has such nice guests on, and he doesn't have us. So damn it, Ryan Ripley, when are we going to get a chance? Are we not humans? If you cut us, do we not bleed?
This is great. So this is you putting him in the position that you hate, where he can only respond by typing.
No, he exactly. Brian, right? So Ryan, our 150th episode of the Metacast is scheduled for July 22nd, Monday. Are you around?
So you're saying doing it that same day as an additional recording?
Or just... Let us know. Oh, man, let's do... Ryan, one more question. Would you be willing... So, the 150th Metacast episode, could we do it as an Agile for Humans thing? What do you think? Or should it be independent? Let's explore that.
Yeah.
You
had all kind of things planned for 150th episode.
Yeah. Let's do something, Ryan.
Let's do it the same day.
Same day.
Yeah.
Please.
We might have a few drinks during the 150th.
Drinks? Oh, I don't drink. 2 beers and I'm gone. Imagine what I'll be like then. Oh, cool.
Oh, best episode ever, Ryan.
We're in. Let's do it. Do it, yes.
Okay, all right. So that same day, we're going to record Agile for Humans.
Yeah.
Either as a part of 150 or in addition to 150. So we'll sort that out.
I just want to do it with Ryan. Yeah. I've been missing the boat. He's doing such wonderful episodes, right? He's such a wonderful podcaster. I'm like, shit, I want to be part of that.
I know.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. I just wanted to get that in there. Drinks are greater than donuts.
I mean, they don't have to compete.
Stop. I do not want to have one of those. I do not want to have a scotch and one of those bacon donuts.
Why not?
I don't think my stomach could handle both of those.
Oh, yeah, I think... Why not? Bob, there's no reason to not do both.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to have duck donuts for 150.
All right.
Yeah.
And I took us off. We had our mojo, and then I'm sorry. I wanted to grab Ryan before he left.
This is how every episode goes, people. I'm reaching out to you. Can you feel the pain in my face as I beg for help
Oh,
and
stop.
support.
Oh.
Before we started recording the podcast, I was really enjoying myself playing the "Woe Is Me" card. Playing
You
the
did play.
Oh, it was so fun.
Yeah.
And the best is when I catch you off guard and you don't realize that I'm doing it intentionally.
And then I felt bad for you.
Yeah, it was great.
I still feel bad for you. Oh.
Good times, good times. Bob is easily distracted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
I would love the Dunkin' Donuts to be a sponsor, although there is a rift in our house, in
What?
the Anderson house.
What's the donuts that's down here?
Well, there's
Dunkin'?
There's Dunkin' Donuts
What's
and
it?
Krispy
No,
Kreme.
Krispy Kreme.
Yeah,
There's Krispy Kreme.
There's a very clear divide
But
in the
but there's a
Anderson house.
divide. They're not the same. There's cake donuts and then Krispy Kreme or what?
More traditional, like raised.
They're like raised
Yeah,
donuts
yeah.
and
But
they're
it's-
lighter.
Yeah, but yeah, there's like half the there's 5 of us, so it's
So there's 3 donuts. So let's finish it.
everybody
So duck?
everybody puts Duck Donuts at the top.
Do they?
But
Okay.
near our house, there's a Krispy Kreme and a Dunkin' Donuts. So those can easily be acquired on a Saturday or
I
Sunday
go with
morning
Dunkin' because
when the
that's what
kids
I
wake
grew
up and
So
say,
in the
"Dad, can we have-"
Northeast, I grew up with Dunkin', right?
Yeah.
So to me, Dunkin' Donuts is sort of a northern construct, and then Krispy Kreme. I only encountered them when I moved down here more.
Krispy Kreme was an Ohio thing, so that was that was like I grew up on Krispy Kreme,
Okay.
and my wife grew up on Dunkin' Donuts because we were in different parts of the
A
state.
house divided.
Yeah, very divided, very divided. Along with jelly, grape versus strawberry. Those are 2 things that
See, it's cake versus yeast. Yeah, exactly.
it is
Yeah.
But I like a cake donut too.
But at the end of the day, I mean, I've normalized. It's like, I mean, I may have a favorite, but if you throw any of them in front of me,
You put a box in front of me.
I'm going to stuff them in my face,
Yeah,
right?
I don't discriminate.
Exactly.
I am an equal opportunity donut eater. I will eat them all.
Anything else in the stream?
I don't know, folks.
Streamers, we have.
What can we help with?
Is there anything we can help with, or just tee up,
Or do we just need to keep talking about donuts and
or
drinks?
even future Metacast
alcohol?
episodes, or anything? Just anything we can do.
The Agile Moose.
Oh, everyone, if
Does
you
everybody
want,
know about that?
I don't know if everyone knows about the Agile Moose. So I put up another website called Agile-Moose. So I'll put it in here.
Oh, brave Dave, you hit me right in the gut with that one.
Ooh. So Agile, real quickly, Agile Moose is my alter ego. There are some writings that sometimes I write on my Galen blog, too personal things or things that aren't business aligned or whatnot. So I wanted to create an alter ego where I could have my personal writings versus my business writings. And the Agile Moose is that place. So if anyone wants to go there, just it's actually a pretty tight site, and I wanted to play around with different site design and stuff as well, and learn and get a new logo. So it forced me to sort of experiment into a new business brand and a new logo. So look at the moose. So the moose is loose, everyone, and go look at the moose. So let's get back to Brave Dave.
So product owner versus product manager. This is I'm spending a lot of time in this realm right now, and I separate the two, and the key divider for me is operational focus. Product owner, their primary responsibility is operational effectiveness of the team and efficiency and having work queued up. Product manager is more external facing, and I view product managers as the top of the funnel. So that's where ideas come in. That's what they are vetting those, providing product owner and team with the next most important things to go deliver on. And that handoff from product manager to product owner is where execution becomes a reality. So product owner is that separation of execution. You own that. Go and make it happen.
I use like a Pareto. I think I say the same thing. Is I use 80-20 as just a metaphor. Mm-hmm. So the Pareto. And to me, a product manager is 80-20 outwardly focused. Mm-hmm. So business, stakeholders, customers, and but still has teamward or product owner focus, and then a product owner is 80/20, teamward 80,
Mm-hmm.
care and feeding for their team, but still has a connection outward.
Yeah.
That 20% is where they meet, and I would hope they collaborate.
Yeah, there's got to be an overlap. There can't be this divide where
Right.
me as a product manager, I'm throwing a Hail Mary
Right.
over the product owner.
Right.
And hopefully they catch it and
Right.
we don't ever talk.
Right.
There's got to be a lot of overlap.
I forget the website, but there's something called, there's a product management. There's a company that does product training, and they have a flow chart with like 40 plus responsibilities. So it's a classic product manager. It's a description of what a product manager does. And that's a good place. I think a good place to understand this divide is also, a lot of people don't know what a product manager does. So go look at that thing, and it has like 40 boxes, 40, somewhere between 40 and 45 responsibilities for product management, professional product management, and product ownership only covers like 10 to 12 of them. But it gives you an idea of like, sometimes what does a product owner do? It does a lot. And what does a product manager do? They do a lot, and there's an intersection. The other thing, in a lot of organizations, they have a reporting structure. So either they have a hard reporting structure where
Yeah, I don't like that.
I mean, it's okay. POs report to product managers.
Yeah.
I do think they have a dotted line. So what I'll mean is, let's say a Word. Let's say there's 5 teams at Microsoft that do Microsoft Word. 5 teams have 5 product owners. Let's just hypothetically say that, and Word would have a product manager. So it's not uncommon that there's a hierarchical relationship between, more POs and a product manager who owns Word. So I see that pattern a lot. That's a pretty common pattern.
I'm totally on board with it. I'm not on board with that being a reporting structure.
So again, some companies do that, some companies don't. I wouldn't get caught up in the org chart part of it.
But it's a funnel of work.
Yeah.
So
and integration across teams, right? Like the last thing you want to talk to a customer about is have 20 Word teams, 20 POs and 20 Word teams interpreting what is value to that one client.
Agree.
And then Sarge had something. Safe has a RITI role where do those responsibilities fall when you aren't doing Safe? What do you think?
I don't know the RTE role well enough.
I think it falls to Scrum Master.
That would be my assumption.
And like to me,
whatever
it's Scrum
the
Master,
Agile
Scrum
coach is.
Masters, and Scrum of Scrums. And in simple terms, historically, I mean, I think the RTE role, outside of like PI planning, I mean, they have some facilitation roles and they have some orchestration. To me, it's a sort of a project management-ish role or coordination role, right? And it has outward facing.
If you don't need Safe, do you really have those needs? Right? Like if you're not big enough to need Safe or to decide Safe is the most appropriate solution for you, maybe you don't have those needs.
I think it's a contrived role, so I think they could extend it and not have to. One of my pet peeves with Safe is, and it really is a pet peeve. I think they've artificially created some roles. They have a value stream engineer role. They have a release train engineer role. I mean, I think Scrum creates roles. So I don't know if you need to keep incrementing roles. I do think in really large corporations they like having the single ringable neck, right? The RTE owns this.
But I don't think you necessarily have those same needs.
Yeah.
I think it's relatively rare that you actually need that role.
What is Brave Dave talking about? He says, I've seen business owner role. It's less of a, it's sort of a role overlay, which I think is what Brave Dave's talking about, which I'm a VP of something or a director of something, but they tell me I'm a business owner. I actually don't have a problem with that. It's like a persona, Brave Dave. I'm
a fan of the general manager.
Yeah, I would. Oh my God.
That's what I like.
Oh my God, I was just going to go there. You and I.
We are as one.
We are as one.
So creepy.
It is creepy. That's where I was going to go.
Yeah.
I like that general manager mindset metaphor. Don't you?
Yeah. To me, it's a GM, and sports help me relate to that, about what does that really mean. So I think about a GM for a team, and they have the responsibility for the organization. They have VPs that own various parts of them, but they have ultimate responsibility for that product.
Yeah.
And a sports team is a product.
And the business. They have you were talking about this earlier of having engineers have a business lens view, right? Look at it from the point, like have different perspectives. And we're all, in some ways, wouldn't it be cool if we all had a hat, like a general manager hat, right? We were all thinking that way. So that's how I'm reacting to what you wrote, Brave
So
Dave.
I think Brave Dave, I think we're all like, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
We use slightly different words, but in the end, I think it's ultimately the same thing.
Yeah.
Have forks been stuck?
I think we're approaching our time box.
Yeah. Brave Dave.
So everyone subscribe. Pass this out round to your families.
Yeah.
This is a cool stream.
We know
families, your aunts,
Day,
your uncles, your
Prime
great
Day
grandmother.
Was Monday and Tuesday. So we know everybody has a Prime account.
Yeah.
We know that means you get a free subscription in Twitch. You connect your Amazon Prime or your Twitch account, you get a free subscription.
Yeah. If you have nannies taking care of your kids, get them on the stream.
Yeah, get them on Twitch. Show them. Get them.
Exactly.
I am sure there are some channels out there right now streaming knitting. Or Bob Ross, I'm sure, is on.
Who was at the donut shop? Brave Dave?
Dave, yeah.
Yeah, well, go grab some patrons, Dave, and get them. Just reach to another table and pull them over to your phone.
Yeah. Hand them your phone. Let them log in.
Exactly.
Connect their Amazon account on your phone. Right? Do that.
Exactly.
And then just have them subscribe.
I just wanted to get marketing happy here for a little.
Thank you.
Is that working? Cool.
Yeah, fantastic.
Cool.
Watch the subscriptions start rolling in.
They better start rolling in. I'll get my grandkids.
Ooh.
I have 4 grandkids.
Yeah.
They're like playing. They're like pretty adept on freaking screens and stuff like that, right?
They can do it.
Like my 4-year-old granddaughter grabs my daughter's phone. She probably is more technically savvy than I am.
Yeah. But it's native to them.
Exactly. And it scares the crap out of me watching them. So I'll get them on.
The benefits of the next tier, not a lot yet.
Don't you get like a Tesla or something like that?
No, there are no Teslas. Scrum Sarge, I have not invested enough in the channel to have those next tiers actually create value. There's a lot. When you look at some of the really advanced channels that are out there, they have additional things that are provided. They get additional emoticons. So tier 2 and tier 3 subscribers have additional things. I haven't built those out yet because I don't think the demand's there yet. One of the things I am hoping to do is refresh the stream and the screen and give it a better look. So I've been doing some research on that. That's on my list of things to do here. Maybe this weekend I'll tackle that, and we'll come back next week and look a
Hey,
little bit better.
thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for being here, Bob.
I know it's a privilege. I know it's hard. I know I had a lot of word count. Next time I'll be relegated to the chat box again.
It's I'll tell you, it's easier with you here.
Is it?
Yeah. Unlike you, I can't just accidentally fill an hour with words. I don't.
Just fill them.
Yeah, I don't.
With random words.
I am not capable of doing that.
Oh my God.
So that you have that unique skill that I don't. So there are times where it's a struggle for me to keep the thing rolling. So having a partner in charge that can help.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome, Bob.
I really appreciate that. Oh
gosh. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for coming by.
Hey, it was good seeing everyone.
New Metacast episode Monday morning, so be looking for that.
And Ryan, I'll reach out to you with logistics and stuff. We'll sort out the details. I'm jazzed about Agile for Humans.
Yes.
Everyone, take good care. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely. We'll see you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.